I had a hangover. My head was about to explode and the light hurt my eyes. I needed my sunglasses. I swore to quit drinking.
As you may know, Wine and Die had its 1-year anniversary this year on October 27th. Wine and Die is a live stream which we try to have on the first Saturday of every month, where I and my co-host pair wine with horror and or suspenseful games. That being said, not all the games we paired this year were released in 2019, and also please drink responsibly. There are several questions I ask when I pair wine with games, including, are there any beverages in the game? There may be a wine that relates to that beverage in some way. Is there a film that is related to the game in some way by either an influence or genre? Because pairing wine with films is something that already has a small movement. Is the game a large or indie title? Because there are also large wineries and indie wineries. Where does the game take place, or where did it originate from? Are just some of the things I take into consideration when picking a wine for a game. That being said, here are the games and wine pairings we had this year, in no particular order. Dead Space 2. Capriccio Bubbly Sangria. Capriccio Sangria is a crisp, medium-bodied, refreshing, fruity wine. Hermes Muscat of Patra was also chosen for similar reasons as the Capriccio. A California Zinfandel, the signature high ABV will get you through those relentless necromorphs.
Oh, I thought I was gonna get him first.
Resident Evil 2. Gnarly Head Old Vine Zinfandel, crafted from 35 to 80-year-old vines. This affordable wine shows how something can be robust and classic while still completely contemporary. Gick Blue. It's a blue wine much like the T-virus. Madeline Angevine or a Vino Verde. For something light and refreshing after you've been chased by a zombie. The Evil Within 2. Apothic Brew. This was one of our surprise favorites because we weren't really sure what to expect. But if you've played the game, you'll know that Sebastian Castellano drinks a lot of coffee. Apothic Brew is a red blend infused with cold brew. Soban Cabernet Amador, for its notes of cherry, chocolate, and coffee. Ancient Roots Red Blend, because it has flavors of espresso and dark fruit. Ribeye Charlie's is one of the several shorter games we played on an indie night, and I would recommend a Petite Syrah Cabernet Sauvignon, as both pair well with steak. I'm Still Here. Not really a horror, but a delightful little supernatural game that we played again on one of our indie sessions. I would recommend a Chenin Blanc, as it pairs well with fish. Without giving anything away, you'll understand once you've played it. Conklinculus. Conklinculus is an atmospheric horror game that is Silent Hill inspired. It also gave me some film noir and David Lynch vibes, so I felt that it needed something dark and intense yet smooth and luxurious. So for that I went with Juggernaut Hillside Cabernet Sauvignon, which has a lot of darker, smooth, fruity hints. The Glass Staircase. A game that is a nod to Italian zombie movies and retro survival horror games. So I went with Bar Prosecco Fezzanti Spago, a light bubbly from Veneto, Italy. It is a very crisp aperitif, as well as Stella Fiore Brachetto, a vibrant, sparkling red. Amnesia, The Dark Descent. For a game like this, we had to go with something that conveyed a refined classic experience. So I picked Awfully Vintage Port with its flavors of dark cherry and spice, a Ripasso for dark fruity and chocolate hints, and a Malbec for a full-bodied raspberry and oak experience. Unforgiven, A Northern Hymn. It's a Swedish survival horror game, so we went with fruit wines other than grape, mead, and barley wine. And I apologize if I butcher this. Hantverksbryggeriet Baronen. Layers of Fear. If you've played this game, then you know that the main character likes their wine. However, none of the wine bottles in the game have labels on them that I could see, so I went with Ancient Roots Dark Red. But I would also recommend a Syrah, because not only does the main character have big issues rooted in their love for drink, but these wines have a deep rich color and pair with art that portrays a darker side or heavier emotions. Alan Wake. I didn't want to go back to a coffee wine, but it was very tempting. For this one, I instead looked for genre recommendations and wines that others had paired with mystery novels. I settled on Cloudbreak Pinot Noir because it's deep, dark, and mysterious. A Horton Tower Cabernet Franc with its earthy cedar and floral hints. Radius Merlot, which hails from Washington, the state in which Bright Falls is located. And I threw in a real ale coffee porter just for good measure. Perception. A first-person survival horror game wherein you play as a blind woman who must use the sound reverberating from the taps of her cane and other sounds as she explores a mansion with a sinister story behind it. Chateaubois Redon Bordeaux Superior, a medium-bodied, easy-drinking wine, and a Victoria Parks Shiraz, a full-bodied wine with tastes of dark fruits like blackberry, chocolate, and plum. I felt that these wines went well with the old mansion aesthetic, as Bordeaux is a nice wine that you might keep around the house for the occasional drink, and a Shiraz is full-bodied and a good pairing with a suspenseful thriller. Rich dark reds go well with a little terror. Witch Hunt. Witch Hunt is a hunting exploration horror game that takes place in the 18th century. So what could be more fitting than Leelanau Cellars Witch's Brew, an aromatic red blend with spices like cinnamon, cloves, and nutmeg. Best drunk before the witching hour, or who knows what might happen. Tomasello Wineries Broomstick Brew, a blend of red wine and mulled spices. If you have never tried a mulled wine, I would highly recommend it. They are about as easy to make as apple cider, so if you like to slow simmer hot beverages, it's definitely one you should try. Vampire. For a game about vampires, what could make more sense than Carnivore Cabernet Sauvignon, Second Voyage Red Blend, and Apothic Inferno, followed by Manigna Sauvignon Blanc to take the edge off. Moons of Madness. Where would we be without a little bit of cosmic horror and a little bit of Lovecraft? Lovecraft's favorite drink was coffee, and didn't appreciate drinks that dulled the senses. I didn't want to go those directions again, though, because things needed to be mixed up a little. So I went with a Nebbiolo Sauvignon Blanc because it's crisp, tart, and will keep your senses alert when you need to keep your pace with a mind-bending world. Those were our wine and die games played over the course of the past year. It has been a really fun project putting all these games with wine and some extra things. I would like to give a special thanks to my co-hosts, Leroy Jenks and Saucer. I would also like to thank all the guests that have graced the stream over the past year, including the Blue Jay 1994, Sweverheart, Jet Threat, Andrew Flux, Chrome Wisp, Vanilla Cake, Cahandys, Defective Killbot, Lindoriel, Herkspeed, Lanybug, GM Skeptic, and others. I would also like to thank everyone who subscribes, follows, or just lurks when we do the streams as well. I really appreciate all the support. You guys are one of the reasons we do this, and I look forward to starting up a new year with all of you. So here is the sign-off for Wine and Die 2019. I hope you all have a good new year and a fantastic 2020. Cheers. Oh no, we're missing something! We're missing Oh no!
This is what he's listening to in the car.
Oh no, he's gonna die.